we're going to go over the sketch tools and the constraints within sketches. So we're going to start by creating a new part. All right, so now that we have a new part, we're going to create a sketch. I'm going to use the XY plane. So then up here we have the rectangle tool, which is what I'm going to use. I'm going to make a square. That is 8 by 12. Now I'm going to use the line tool, which is this one right here, which I'm going to hover kind of over the middle until I see the green dot, and that is the midpoint of this line, which is what I'm looking for. We will utilize that later. I'm going to leave it there for now though. So we're going to use the line tool again. We're going to make a roof. And then I'm going to use a rectangle tool again to make a door. I'm going to say the door is 3 by 6. And then I'm going to make the windows. I'm going to go ahead and use the line tool again and make some panes in the window. All right, now I'm going to use the arch tool, which is right here. This is a 3-point arch, so I'm going to pick the 2 endpoints and then the middle point with the radius. So I'll click the endpoint and click right there. All right, and then now I'm going to use the rectangle tool again and going to create a tree trunk. And now I'm going to use the circle tool. So this one right here is a center and a diameter. So you'll click in the center and then you'll go out for a specific diameter. So now instead of redrawing this multiple times, I'm going to use the copy tool. So now the mouse pointer on the select is highlighted, which means I'm selecting the things that I want to copy. So I'll go ahead and select the circle. That's all I want to copy. So now I'm going to go to the base point and click this pointer. Now I'm going to select the area where I want it to copy from. So I'm just going to do the center. And then as I click that, now I can see that when I go to place it, I'm going to be clicking in the center of the circle. So I'll come in and do that. And then click done. So now I'm going to start constraining and defining my sketch. So right now, everything is purple. We don't want it to stay purple. We want it to actually be white. If you're using the default settings in Inventor, these lines will be blue. And then once we start constraining them, they will become black. So my first step is I'm going to make this center line a construction line. So if I click this right here with the line highlighted, it will turn dotted. So now I can use that as a reference, but it's not really considered part of the sketch as far as like actually using later. So now I'm going to use a symmetric mate, which is the 2 brackets with the line in the middle. I'm going to use that on the door. So I'm going to click both sides of the door and the center line. Now what that will do is line it up in the center to where each side is the equal distance away or symmetric from that center line. And then I'm going to do the same thing for my window. Cancel it again. So, and then do the center of my window, and then start it again for this window over here. Now, what happens after you do it once? It will remember this midpoint line, and you can uh, continue making things symmetric about that line. So now I'm going to use the dimension. So I'm just going to use this general dimension, and I'm going to divide my windows as 2.5 by 2.5. I'm going to do that on both of them. So notice how some of the lines are white, but some are still purple. So if I come in here, get off of the dimension tool, and I go to move these, we can see that we can still move these up and down. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use the collinear. So that's where there's the two lines lined up with an arrow. And then what we can do is we can select two lines that we want to basically be lined up with each other. And then now our windows outside of the arch are fully constrained. So while I have the collinear, I'm also going to take my tree. I'm going to put it on the ground at the same level with the house. So now I'm going to go back to dimension, and I'm going to give this a radius. I'm going to give it a radius of 1.7 to make it a little bit of an eyebrow window. So one other tool that we have is the trim and extend tool. I'm going to use the extend tool. I'm going to extend this line up to the rest of the eyebrow so that it will have a paint in it as well. Now I'm going to use the symmetric mate again, symmetric constraint on my roof. And then I'm also going to dimension my roof with a height of 3 inches. So now our house is fully constrained. So I'll move on to the tree. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a coincident mate. I'm going to start by making the center of a circle and the midpoint of the trunk coincident. So that means that they are on top of each other. So now I'll go in and I'll define the size of my tree trunk. Say that's 1 inch. And I'll say that's 8 inches tall. And I can do a dimension in between two lines. So I'll click the side of the house and the tree. And here, I'm going to say that it is 6 inches away from the house. All right, so now our tree trunk is fully defined. Now we're looking at our leaves. So I'm going to say that our leaves are 2.5 inch in diameter. So I could go through and dimension all these and make them the same, or I could actually use a constraint. So I can use this equal constraint. That's parallel. This is equal. I'll click one and then click another, and now you can see that they are the same size. All right, so now that they are all the same size, I'm gonna escape out of that tool. I'm gonna move this stuff around a little bit. So now I want all of these to be tangent or touching each other. So I'll use the tangent constraint and I'll say this one can be touching this one, and this one, that, this to that, and so on. Now I'll go through and do the rest of them. And now we have our leaves that are all touching. So, but you can see that they are still able to rotate. So what we'll do here is we'll use a vertical constraint. So I'm going to use a vertical, and if you notice, you can see a dashed line. So we're looking at things that are going to line up along that line. Now, take in mind that sometimes Inventor will turn your sketch sideways, so you might have to use a horizontal, even though it looks vertical on what you're on your screen. So we're going to use the vertical, and we're just going to click these 2 points, and now they are perfectly above each other, and everything is fully constrained. So that's all for today.